Hi guys, what are we gonna do today? Today we're gonna make this cute little banner. And you can see it's pretty large. You can make it as large or as small as you want. Add any words you want, but it's so fun because then you can attach it anywhere and it curves and moves. So let's just get started. So since I know how big my banner needs to be, I'm using 3 11 by 17 sheets of paper. And I know I'm gonna cut it 7.5 inches wide. This is just a very large stamp. And so I kind of measured what my average was and I knew that's what I needed for this. So whatever word or saying and whatever font you're using, you can just line it up so you can figure out about how long and how wide you may need it and give yourself a little extra room. Since I know this is 7.5 inches wide, I just marked some lines. All I'm gonna do is take a yardstick, just rip this. And I'm not worried about it being perfect. And I wanted it torn. I liked that look on this project, so that's why I'm tearing it. You could actually just cut it if you want a nice smooth look. And then I also gave myself an inch at this end so it's much easier to tear all 3 sheets at once. Now we are going to be using these excess little strips at the end, so don't throw them away. And if you're looking at the image I have, it's very light. There's a little bit of a background, but it wouldn't take away from my words. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to sew these together. So all 3 of these will be sewn together as one long piece. And I'm just going to use a zigzag stitch on my sewing machine, but you could also just tape it or glue it if you would like. So as you can see, this is quite long. So when you add your pieces, you'll need to roll your far right piece, kind of roll it up so it fits through your machine. The center point, which is right here, this is where I'm going to put my C, and I'm just lining a few of these letters up in some of my pieces on here, so I know where I am going. Just a guide to get me started. So I am using the Swoosh IOD font stamp, and this is a very large swirly stamp. I really like this stamp, so I'm kind of just going to keep this guy here. Just want to make sure I have enough room. So I know where I'm starting, so I'm going to start with my M. I'm going to use my Iron Orchid black ink. You just want some sort of a permanent ink that is not going to run, and I'm going to use my brayer. I found this works really well with this. Using my brayer, I'm going to make sure I have a lot of ink on here. And I'm going to brayer over the top of my letter. I find that when I'm using a brayer, I get more consistent ink on these. If I was tapping it, I would get ink around everything on here and have to wipe that off. So in a lot of the font stamps that I use, I can literally lay them all out on a big acrylic sheet, lay them all down and stamp it all at once. Because these connect, and they go over each other, these are ones I do one at a time. So I'm going to continue on, do my words, and do Christmas. So to give it a little more interest, I'm going to put just a little bit of crackle on this sign. I'm using my gray. I don't want it to be really dark. I am just going to put this down in different spots. Okay, just enough. Now we are going to cut our corners. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up my S with my M, and if you hold it up, you see where they're at, just so they're about even. This side, I really could have gone over a little further, but that's okay. We'll just trim a little of this end off. I am going to go about to this line. A rip right here, and you can cut this also. Just turn this over so I can grab it this way and do the same thing going down to here. And now you can see we have our 2 pointy ends. So what we're gonna do next is glue my paper wire to the back. And this is where we're going to use our small pieces. And I know I'll need 3 for the bottom, 3 for the top, because that's how long this is. I am going to rip this just a little bit smaller, and this would be just as easy, just a paper cut. You don't want it so big, but you want it enough that it will cover your paper wire. I'm just gonna cut this a little longer than what my banner is, so you have some nice excess. If you want to tie onto something, you can. Let's cut 2 of these. So I'm gonna use Type Bind Quick and Thick glue, but you can use any type of a glue that just dries much quicker also, so that's why I like it. Leaving excess at the end. And what I'm gonna do is lay my small strip of paper over the top of this and squish it all down. So I'm just gonna continue on, finish to the end of this, and then do the other side. Okay, so when you're done with that, if you have any openings, just put a little more glue in there and tack them down. Now what I'm gonna do with these little corners here is carefully go behind my wire and just trim these little pieces. Going to be using my Distress Oxide Vintage Photo, my favorite color, and I'm going to go over this whole piece. Now we are also, when we go over it, you're gonna see the lines of where this paper wire is. If you don't want that, you might want to distress it before you put your paper wire on it. I kind of like that, so I don't mind. You can see where that goes. So you can decide what type of distressing method you would like to use, or maybe none at all, depending on your background paper that you're using. Now you can spray it with water to activate it, but I also found that when I seal it, it also activates it. So I'm using my Big Top from DIY to seal this, but you can use any type of sealer you would like. And you're gonna see that this will reactivate. It kind of spreads some of my aging. Now, if you wanted this to have a more glossy look, you would use a glossy sealer or maybe a spray glossy sealer afterward, but let's just let this dry. So this is dry, but I wanted more of a glossy look. If you like this matte look, I would just leave it as this. But since I didn't have a gloss that I could brush on, I am just going to use this gloss finish and just kind of do a quick coat over the top of it. We'll let this dry and then we're done. So I hope you guys thought this was really fun and really easy. You could take any paper you have, and depending on the background you use or what color you use, what font you use, what images you use, you can make this for absolutely any occasions. I hope you give us a try. Whatever you do, have fun.